Hello, my name is Doris and I am Little Bird Products. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is this is my midweek review of what my plans are for the week. I do have big plans for this week because tomorrow I need to load my van because the next day I need to set up for my show that's on Saturday, and that's the first craft show of 2025 for me. But what I wanted to go over today was a little more on upsizing your upcycling. And this is going to be a preview for part 3. And what I wanted to do is talk to you a little bit about when you are going to pick out a top to upsize and to upcycle, the things that you need to think about ahead of time. The most important thing is to decide what it is you like or love about what I call your inspiration piece. That's the base top that's going to be the centerpiece of everything. And the most important thing to think about is, what is it that you love about it? Is it the color? Is it the style? Is it the neckline, the sleeves, the length? What are those things? Because what you love about it is what you want to keep. And then you need to decide on what upsizing you need to do. What is it that doesn't fit or that you don't care for about it? One of the most important things that I'm finding that you need to remember is to look for something where the neckline already fits. Not that you can't change it, but it's just easier if the neck fits. I can take a small top and make it into something that fits me at a 2X. But if the neckline doesn't fit me, that's going to make it more difficult. I'm going to have to redo that and finish the neckline. So I like to take, mostly if I'm taking something that's small and upsizing it, I like a V-neck because that can fit, come up higher, it can be a little lower if the top is larger, but I like that. And the other thing I look at is, do the sleeves fit? Most of the time they don't, but I can do a couple of things about that. I can either take them completely off, and then in most cases, I'll do like I've done here. I'll show some pictures of how I cut what I call completer pieces so that I can use those sleeves. And if adding on those sleeves and sides from the completer pieces still don't make it wide enough, because you do need to take your own measurements and decide how wide you need to have it from shoulder to shoulder, from pit to pit, and then also at the waist and the hips. So I have some basic measurements that I use for myself. I like to have it be 24, 25 inches across my bust in the front, and that's pit to pit. Shoulders don't really matter to me that much because my shoulders aren't that broad. So what I'll do is pin it up on my mannequin that almost fits me, and I can tell because her shoulders fit me if it's going to fit. So I'll cut the sides off of my shirt, hang it over the mannequin, and then I'll put the completer pieces up there and figure out, is that going to make it wide enough, to fit me comfortably. But what you can do is, if it doesn't make it wide enough, you can take strips of material and put a strip in there from top to bottom and over the shoulders, and then attach your sleeves. Now, I like my sleeves to be a drop sleeve. They don't have to be up here right at my sleeve height. If you like them that way, it's easier to make the sleeves fit. So basically, you just put your arm in the sleeve, and wherever that's going to hit you, might start here, and then the sleeve will come down. Normally, your arms get a little smaller as you go down. And then that sleeve could fit comfortably. So I try to find those completer pieces where I like the sleeves and it's going to fit. Ideally, if it's going to be something that's sleeveless, all you need to worry about is that arm cyc, the arm hole. Is that going to fit? So there's some things to think about. And what I would suggest is you write down your measurements for you. Then you'll know when you're putting things together. It just makes it a little easier. The other thing I recommend is that when you have your shirts, your complementary things, and you're laying them out and cutting them, that you do pin them on a mannequin or pin them together and use yourself as a mannequin. Be careful of the pins and make sure that it's going to fit you and that you're going to like it. You don't have to worry too much about the length because you can always add to that, and I'll show you in some of my pieces how I do that. I'm kind of a fanatic about not wasting any material, so you'll notice that I'll use pieces that I've cut off When I cut the sleeves out for my completer pieces, there's a V piece that's in the front and the back that's left over. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll either use it for pockets, or you'll see on some of these where I've used it to lengthen the hemline. Normally I like to have my tops be at least, I said before, 28 inches in the front and about 30 inches in the back. I find that covers me comfortably. Your measurements might be, shorter, longer, but it's good to know those, because when you're putting this together, you'll want to keep that in mind for how much material you have. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is some other things that you might love about your tops, your base piece or your inspiration piece that you're using. Do you love the material? Is it lightweight material? Is it heavyweight material? Do you have other things about it that you love? Maybe it's just the style. Maybe it's a baby doll style and you like that. So when you're choosing your what I call completer pieces, those add-on pieces, you'll want things that go with that. Maybe the material's lightweight. Well, you'll want to try to have lighter weight material then for the sleeves and the sides. It just looks better if you do that, but doesn't mean there's any hard and fast rules. It's all up to you because it's going to be your top. Let me see. I have some of this written down, so I apologize for looking down here. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is some of the methods for upsizing. And I'll show you here some of the various things that I've done. Sometimes it's as simple as adding a little bit, excuse me, to the center back. So in the case of this vest, I cut out my triangle in the center back, basically slitting it down and then having a little bit at the top. And I kept the original neckline because it did fit me here, but it was just a little tight across the shoulders and then of course around my waist and my back. So I split that up the back, and then I added a piece that was lighter weight. It's polyester, but it looks like silk. I love the colors together. That's the thing that I really loved about this vest, is I love the material and I love the colors. But it was heavier weight. But when I put an inset in the back, I wanted something that was lightweight and floaty. So I think this turned out beautiful. So you'll see how the polyester adds to that. It fits me very comfortably at a 2X. It started out as a large. So this was a very easy upcycle from that perspective, but the materials I think are beautiful. The other thing that you can decide, if it fits you across here and you like the sleeves, but it's just not wide enough, you want it more comfortable here, you can just slit it up to the armpit. And I'll show here how I did that with a t-shirt. And that's a frequent upcycle for me, is just widening it across the hips and across the bust using this method. And that's not a difficult upcycle either. A lot of times I'll use lace for that. And I like doing those for my t-shirts because I have a lot of graphic shirts that I think are really cute. They're just not very wide, and after things get especially when it's cotton like that, if they get washed a few times, they'll shrink up a little bit, and I like to have a little wider. And then a lot of times I'll lengthen them too, because I'll find that they'll shrink up like that, and then they'll be, belly exposing, and I don't care for that. So I'll use some of the same material a lot of times, or pieces of lace, to lengthen them in the front and in the back. I like that look. The other thing that you can do is, if you like this style, which I happen to like, I'll open up, and I've done this in some of my other videos when I did denim and lace, under the sleeve, that seam line, and then on down the sides. And then that's where I do my additions. And it makes them more what I call butterfly, floating. You can crop them, make them shorter. You can make them longer, whatever you want to do. But you have to kind of think about this ahead of time. Okay, how do I want to style this? And then that can guide you in finding your completer pieces. I think I've already talked about adding those strips in there to widen it a little bit. You can leave the sleeves the same if the sleeves fit you and you like it. I'll show a picture here of a shirt that I did that with. I like the way it looks. It just widens it. Some of us are just wider, we might be a little short, so the length fits, but it just doesn't fit comfortably here. And this is a pretty simple upcycle too, and it's a lot of fun to find the completers pieces for that, especially if you love the material to start with. So that's a fun upcycle. Let's see, I think I got to just about everything. One thing to do be aware of is that a lot of times when you, something that seems to be a simple upcycle, you have to be careful that it does still fit you across the shoulders. So that's an important thing when you're trying something on. You know, you could think that you just need to widen the sides, but then when you put it on, those shoulders are still tight. So that's where it really helps a lot if you're, you know, just cutting up the back, or if you're doing the one where it's all the way down under your arms and the sides. That'll help with the shoulders, but still that's important, because you might find you finish your upcycle and you put it on and it's like, it's still not very comfortable and you wish that you'd done it a little differently. So trying things on along the way are very, very important. So I have completed, I think, I have 2 more pieces from the upsizing one where I asked you for your input. I am going to finish those. I may not get them finished before my craft show, but I really like the black one, and I would like to maybe finish that today because I'm going out to dinner tonight, and as you can see, I have something black on, and I would like to have that black vest that has the lacy inset in the back. I'd like to have that to just put over the top and up style my look for the day. I am having a lot of fun with denim. I had somebody ask for me to show some denim upcycles, and I do have a little jacket. Is it a jacket or a vest? One of them I'll show here that I've done, where I've done some fraying in the back, and I put an inset of this material that I had left from another upcycle I'd done. I really liked it. It's quilted, and I put an inset of that in the back, and then I had some vintage chenille fringe left from a blanket that's like this. I put that along the bottom. I think it made it really cute and made it one of a kind, and it did upsize it, not as much as what I do, you know, for some of my tops. I think it was a medium to start with, but anyway, it fits me nice, comfortably. It's a little more fitted, you know, some of the other things I do. I like a lot of room. I like roomy clothes. I like them to be comfortable, and of course, here in Houston area, Texas, where it's hot most of the time, it's nice to have something that's loose and breathable. So I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to show some clips at the end of some of the things that I've cut out, and you will see more of that when I finish part 3, and it'll be some more upcycles that I've made this week and upsizes, and hopefully you'll get a feel for it. If there's anything else that you'd like to see more of, or a longer explanation of, or there's something that you're going to upcycle and upsize and you have questions about it, I'd be happy to try and answer those for you. So thank you for joining me. Have a good week. Bye.